we've had live music here. We've had burlesque. We've had mud wrestling. But we've never had an author read from a book. We've never been elevated to that level of...
I'm going to tell.
Don't interrupt me.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. You know? For those of you who know Irving Rothstein, you know Irving Rothstein. For those of you who don't, this is Irving Rothstein. And this is his book. Can you tell me what the name of the book is? It couldn't have been the pay. That's what all my employees say too. Irving was teaching in the public school system probably since before I was born. You know, he came from the same coast that I came from. He's been hanging out here with his wife for the last 30 years. And he got bored and he decided to write a book. And we're all going to learn something about the book this evening. So,
thank you,
here we go. Thank you.
Thank you for your course. You know, it's nice being here because of what I begin my book actually here in this toy boat. I was standing there waiting for coffee, and I turn around and there's a big, tall, Samoan-looking guy behind me, and I greet him in Samoan. And he looks at me and he says, "You speak Samoan? Have you been to Samoa?" I said, "No." He said, "Where do you learn Samoan?" I said, "Well, I taught at Woodrow Wilson High School in the 60s. And many of the kids there were from Samoa, and they taught me a few words." He says, "Excuse me, I mean you no harm." I'm wearing a hat at the time. He takes the hat off my head. He looks at my head, puts the hat back on. He says, "Matai Ulu Tulu. My Uncle Junior talk about you all the time." Well, this was 2 years ago, and I had Uncle Junior in high school in 1967. And I guess I made some kind of an impact on him. And basically, it was as a result of getting the kids in the classes to get to know one another. Huh? Translate what? Oh, Matai Ula Tula, big chief with no hair. Not so big, but I had no hair. Anyway, what happened is I got the kids to get to know each other, and it was it was interesting, and as a result, I had a lot of stories. So I'm going to do 2 or 3 stories today. Maybe I'll start with a Samoan story. I had, in my first class, I had these Samoan kids, and they were relatively big. There was a guy named Pone, 6'9", 290. A guy named Danny Nelson, 6'5", 250. They were 15 years old. And they had a nice little scam. They walked around in the Embarcadero and tell people how they would make sure they could walk the Embarcadero with safety. Right? And so they made their pin money that way. Well, they tell me this, and I try to talk them out of it, and it has no use at all. They sort of ignore me. And I saw myself like a psychiatrist, professional. You don't turn the kids in. But what happens is, Danny, the smaller of the two, his sister comes up from L.A. with the minister. And Danny gets religion. And then his whole thing is, he became a deacon in the church and that kind of thing. He's a real nice guy. And unfortunately, though, he was in a class with a teacher who was a preacher. The guy preached evolution. Now here's Danny, a newly religious kid, in this guy's class, and he's talking evolution. And Danny, who believes in evolution, raises his hand and he says, "I believe in evolution, but I believe that some greater power had to start this whole ball of wax going. Are there scientists who believe in God?" Well, here's this 110-pound teacher says to Danny, what do you know? You're nothing but a dumb 16-year-old kid. Danny gets really angry, but to his credit, he runs out of the room. The teacher chases him. Goes to get out of the room. Well, one of the guys knew Danny as a result of my class, a guy named Ray O'Neill, big black dude, gets up and stops him and says, you better not go out there. So Ray gets sent to the office. Danny comes into my room. Kids are having a discussion in the room. Danny walks into the window and he stands there and he's like a ball of red. You know, he's standing there and I see something's wrong. The kids go back to the discussion. I take Danny out. Danny grabs me, puts his arms around me, says, Mr. Rothstein, how come there's no fire? I said, what's fire? The way things are done, he says. And all of a sudden he takes his fist and he puts it into the wall, you know, he pulls it out, covered plaster and blood, holding on to me on the 170 pounds, 250, you know, and he's crying about fire. And I said, what is fire? He says, the way things are done. He says, in this country, there are so many fires, there's no fire. He says, how do people know what to do? Now, this is a dumb 16-year-old kid, right? You know, and so I made some arrangements. He got both Danny and Ray O'Neill out of his class, and Danny went on to pave my way to another school. Danny was a minister in a church and had a naming day. He got married, had a little kid, and he invited me to his naming day. And here I am at this church in Pochero Hill, introduced to his choir. He introduced me as a Matai, a big chief, and I'm to be listened to. And then I sit down with the elders and eating and having a good time. 2 days later, I'm at Balboa High School, which is a different high school than Woodrow Wilson, but similar kids. The first day at Balboa, I'm putting my books away. I hear a noise in the hallway. I run out, and there's a big Samoan kid, got this little Mexican kid up in the air, and he's about to pulverize him. So knowing a few words of Samoan, you know, I go, Le'ai Fusu, Le'ai Fusu. There's no fighting. He drops the kid, he sees me, gets down on hands and knees, and begs me not to tell Deacon Nelson, like I would recognize him. There were 50 kids in the choir. One of the kids in the choir, right? And from that day on at Balboa, I'm a 300-pound gorilla. Kids do things before I ask them to do it, right? And one day the hall guy comes up to me like this, and he says, who is your guru? Your Sifu, I'm sorry. I said, Sifu. I said, I picked it all up on the streets. You know, I don't know what he's talking about, really. But people are listening, and I don't want anyone to misunderstand what's going on. But anyway, later on, I talked to him. He tells me that all the kids think I'm a great martial artist, and the kid who stopped fighting told everybody this. And so here I am at Balboa. I'm the 300-pound gorilla at the high school in San Francisco. And no, school teaching is interesting. Teaching is really stories. And what really bothers me most now is this whole no child left behind testing. Teaching is a personal business. It's sort of a relationship between older and younger people, and the teacher has to be a model as well as a giver of information. I mean, right now, it doesn't have to be a giver of information at all. It's on the computer. And so the whole thing is the relationship between teacher and student. And one of the big things about my ability to make a relationship is storytelling. In the classroom, I told a lot of stories from people that I lived with around me. There's this Chelsea Jack. I come from this little town called Chelsea in Massachusetts. And it's a working class town, working class people, and it was a very close-knit town. In fact, Jack and I met in a very funny way. We were at Tasahara. We're in the Tasahara coffee shop. Jack comes in with a parent of a couple of kids of mine, the parent asked me if she could sit down, and Jack goes up to get some coffee, and the woman with Jack says to me, asks me where I'm from. She says, Roseanne, the woman who's the parent, tells me you're from Massachusetts. I said, yes. She said, where are you from? I said, Chelsea. And Jack was walking over and he says, and she says, oh, Jack, this guy, you know. So Jack says, what's your name? And I said, Itzy. And he says, Chummy told me to look you up. He puts his hand in his pocket and he takes out my address and phone. We've been buds ever since. Right? Storytelling is a great way, and if any parent would ask me what is the best way to teach kids, I would tell them to use stories, folk tales, folklore, especially folklore from the ethnic group that they like to relate. Because it's a real interesting way. Kids remember stories. I mean, if you're Christian, Jesus talked in parables. If you go to a church or a synagogue, the people are playing lessons from the Bible, stories, parables, and that kind of thing. And I think school messes up. They don't use stories. Now, I had another advantage in a way. I taught high school, and then